Sumerians were among the earliest known architects to regularly utilize pyramidal patterns in their religious buildings. Although not directly related, there is some evidence that ancient Egyptians were influenced by Mesopotamian culture, thus explaining the physical similarities between their structures. However, the terms pyramid and ziggurat are rarely used interchangeably by historians, as, due to their common uses, one connotes a tomb while the other exists solely for its symbolic significance. The word ziggurat comes from the Assyrian word zigguratu, meaning height or pinnacle. The exact purpose of these structures is uncertain. Some argue that they were used for worship, but others insist that they housed the gods themselves, not to be entered by people upon completion. However, historians and archaeologists generally agree that they maintain some religious intent. The grandiosity of a ziggurat often reflected the powers of both the god it was dedicated to, as well as the ruler who commissioned it. The earliest known ziggurat supposedly dates back to 5200 BC, but the buildings did not seem to follow an absolute pattern until they gained popularity in 2100 BC. By 2000 BC, ziggurats were common in most Sumerian cities, as well as in some Assyrian and Babylonian areas, as their collective faiths often overlapped in practice. Many of these temples still exist, thanks to thousands of years' worth of engineering knowledge and sturdy materials, and remain in their original locations. Many people believed that ziggurats were built to bring people closer to the gods, both spiritually and physically. Although not intended to be entered by the public, the sets of stairs typically built into the walls of these structures allowed people to approach the heavens for prayer and meditation. Structures built from sun-baked mud bricks averaged at 200 to 300 feet in height, with walls at minimum reaching the height and their length. The difference in appearance between traditional Egyptian pyramids and Mesopotamian ziggurats is due to the ziggurat's steep sides and terraces, in contrast to a pyramid's smooth faces. The terraces rendered them particularly sturdy, with plenty of space to walk, and their mud bricks were cheap and easy to produce. Although the building's designs weren't necessarily detailed and ornate, they were by no means plain. Large boxy segments broken by diagonal walls and staircases were the definition of strength, their magnificence lying chiefly in size and solidity. There were a few, though, having been commissioned by more respected leaders or for greater gods, that were decorated with trees and carvings. Many of these were inscribed with the stories of those gods, or with stories and legends of the people. Some even exhibited detailed drawings similar in style to those on the insides of Egyptian pyramids to accompany the scriptures. Because one of the ziggurat's main purposes is to bring people physically closer to heaven, the focus of each structure typically lies near the peak. Ziggurats incorporate several flat levels to allow foot traffic, so the tops aren't as defined as the pyramids, but the designs built into them tend to become more lavish and aesthetically pleasing towards the upper levels. Symmetry and balance contribute to a step pyramid's effective power. The Sumerians paid homage to their gods by incorporating shapes representative of stability, strength, and completion, namely squares and triangles. And, by tapering the buildings rather than creating skyscrapers, the structures maintained an illusion of size diminution from nearby observers' perspectives. Like any other religious monuments, ziggurats were considered sacred by worshippers. Years went into the construction of each one, complete with careful planning and no clear intention beyond faith, and they gave thousands of people the opportunity to spiritually connect with their deities. Today, the step pyramids are just as important to archaeologists and historians in uncovering details about the cultures and personal lives of Mesopotamian dwellers.